Hello student, my name is Rohit Kumar. I am your social science teacher. Today we are discussing about the chapter number 5, the early empire. In chapter number 4, we have read about the how the early Vedic period the Rajan was chosen by the Jana, the pupil, and but around the 600 BC changes took place in the manner in these Rajan were chosen. Some of the man and now become the Rajans by displaying their military prowess. And prowess means the extraordinary bravery or ability, especially in the combat or battle, promise to protect their subject by performing the big sacrifices. And the most common sacrifice performed by powerful king was the Ashwamedh sacrifice or the horse sacrifice. And Ashwamedh Yajna, uh, the horse sacrifice was an important ritual mentioned in the Vedic text. It was conducted by a king to showcase his military strength, and the horse was set to loose to roam around for a period of 1 year. If the horse wandered into the kingdom of the other kings and they stopped, then they had to be fight the king whose horses had stopped. If they allowed two horse to pass, it meant that they accepted the authority of the raja who performed the sacrifices. And Jajanpada, the next is Jajanpada. The king who performed the big sacrifice gradually came to be recognized as a Janpada. And the meaning of the Janpada in the Sanskrit word made up of two words, Janas or Padas. Jana means people or subject, and the word Pada means foot. And the Janpada was the highest political unit in the ancient India during this period. They were usually monarchical, though some followed as a republican form of government. The transition from the Bronze Age, 3000 BC to 1000 BC, to the Iron Age, 1500 to 200 BC, happened during the time of the Janpadas. And the Janpada identified being a particular territories, and Rajan of the Janas become kings and kingdoms or Janpadas. And the Mahajanpada is a compound term consisting of Maha meaning means great, and Janpada meaning foothold of the people. And the Mahajanpada still retained their monarchical nature, while some of the republican came under the control or powerful oligarchs. The era of the Mahajanpada saw the emergence of India's first larger cities after demise, the Indus Valley civilization, as well as the rise of the Buddhism and the Jainism, which challenges the religious orthodoxy of the Vedic period. As per the Buddhist and the Jain sources, the following are some of the Mahajanpadas that are mentioned, and there are 16 Mahajanpada. In this map, you have shown there are 16 Mahajanpada were Kashi, Koshala, Anga, Magda, Veda, Malla, and Chedi, Vatsa, Kuru, Panchala, Matsya, Sureshana, Asmaka, Avanti, Gandhara, and Kamboja. One of the many Mahajanpada, four emerged as the most important after the year of infighting. They were the Magda, Vatsa, and Avanti, and the Koshala. But within 200 years, the Magad had overtaken the other three. And the types of government. Some of the Mahajanpada were be republic and Ganasangas, and which were be governed by a councils. And the Republic of the Vaji was one of the example. Other such Koshala and Magad were be monarchical. The monarchical Mahajanpadas were be ruled by the individual kings. Ruled by the individual kings. Many of the kings of the Mahajanpada become very powerful, and a monarchical become dominant form of a state of the government. Kingship was hereditary. The eldest son in the hereditary king was the bravery. The eldest son inherited the son inherited the kingdom and become the king after the father, and the king came to symbolize the state. He had absolute power and was regarded as the protector of the society and dharma. He was assisted by the Amtasya or official minister while governing, by Senapati while conquering the other lands, and fighting by the Prohita while performing the religious and social duties. Powerful king needed standing army. Permanent army is always in a state of preparedness to conquer the other territories and maintain order within the kingdoms. Now, in agriculture. Now, in agriculture was one of the main occupation, and from the agriculture form the foundation of the monarchical is a republican state. During this time, there was an increase in the agriculture production and many new technologies for agriculture is being used. For example, manufacturing of iron tools, the technology which are used in the agricultures, and the paddy transplantations. And the paddy transplantations also learn the part of the technique of the transplantation. In the type of the transplantation, sapling were grown and they planted the preparedness rather than the seeded they scattered on the ground. And the next is the use of iron. uh, by using iron, pluckshare heavy clay soil could be a turn over the better than had been possible with the wooden and pluckshare. This led to be increase in the production of the grain. In order and now in the taxation, in order to meet the administration expenses, taxes were be imposed on the people of the kingdom, and the special officer were appointed to collect these taxes. Some of the important features of the taxes were: the taxes were be imposed on crops. This was the most important, as the most of the people were farmers. The taxes was fixed 1/6 of the production, and this was known as the bhag and the or a share. Taxes were also imposed on the craftsmen, and this was a charge in the form of their labor. And for example, a weaver or a blacksmith had to work for a day every month for the king. Herders were to pay the tax in the form of the animals, and herders were to pay the tax in the form of animal and animal produce. And taxes were also imposed on goods that were being were bought and sold by the traders. Hunters and gatherers had to pay their taxes by providing the forest produced by the rajas. As the agriculture production of the grain increased, there was a surplus, and while a part of this it called the taxes. And some also traded in the form of the commodities. And the goods produced by the craftsmen were to be carried out over a long distance by a merchant. Merchant either traveled by carts or sailed down the rivers, because river facilities is also available, and some cities were be located on the river bank. They may have used the punchmark coin as a medium of exchange. Now in the setup of the society during the Mahajanpad or the Janpadas was similar to the later Vedic period, and the society during the Mahajanpad continued. The caste system was established during the Vedic period. Now the caste system had become more rigid that was ruling by the during the Vedic period. The Varn system became hereditary, and the different Varn performed the functions, and according to the Varna they were be born. The Brahmanas were expected to teach the Vedas and perform the religious rituals and sacrifices, and the Kshatriya were the warrior classes who fought wars and protected the people, and the Vaishyas were the trading and agriculturist groups. And only the first three Varns, Brahman, Kshatriya, and Vaishyas, were permitted to study the Vedas, and Shudra were the fourth Varn, who were considered the untouchable and were forced to live outside the city and perform all menial jobs. Now, the next is religion. The period between the 600 BC